So we are finally back with Ultimate Spider-Man issue 3. And not only does Peter become the iconic Spider-Man even further, but even some big revelations happen towards the end. Ones that include one of his arch enemies, the Green Goblin. Now my name is AJ, and let's get into it. So we immediately start the story, and this is interesting as it starts off in March, meaning with each issue a month passes. The first issue starting in January, second in February, and now in March. Regardless though, we see MJ and Richard, their son, coming into their apartment questioning what is going on, as Peter and May, their daughter, has been acting strange, as in they're keeping secrets. And with MJ not buying their excuse of doing nothing, they walk further into the apartment with MJ saying, "You guys have fun and don't do anything I wouldn't do," not knowing that they're about to do something very reckless and dangerous. As we immediately cut over to see them on the rooftop. And if you didn't see the last part in the second issue, it was revealed that Peter told May his secret identity as the new masked hero, Spider-Man. And of course, with her knowing now, she personally didn't like the all black suit and thought it was kind of scary. So they're here on the rooftop for a little redesign. And as we see Peter go through and cycle through a couple of different costumes, which in my opinion, few of them actually look pretty cool and would be pretty decent designs for alternate Spider-Mans, especially the blue one, as it kind of just looks like an alternate colored Superior Spider-Man suit. We see him finally land on one particular color scheme, with May saying, "Ah, I like it," and then Peter saying, "So you want to take it out for a spin?" We see Peter web swinging with May on his back through the city in his now iconic colored Spider-Man suit. So now he has the powers, the suit, and the name, getting him steps closer to finally being the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man that we all know and love. Also, imagine how crazy and scary it would be to be on the back of somebody web swinging, especially being a 10-year-old little girl. And it's low-key kind of bad parenting, but this is Peter Parker we are talking about, even at his big age. Anyways though, moving over, we pick up at Uncle Ben's and Jay Jonah's new office. Now also, if you didn't know, both of them got fired from the Daily Bugle, so they decided to team up and create their own news firm, dedicated to reporting the truth and nothing but the truth. But it seems like it is way harder than they thought, as the place they got is a total dump. So not only are they starting fresh with a building that is completely trashed, but they don't even have any employees or reporters. But hey, it's not all bad, because they do have Peter still, who even swings by to drop off a gift to lighten up the mood, courtesy of MJ herself. But as Peter looks around at this dump, with him even saying as much, he spots something that he says is interesting, and it's a board connecting the dots of many different topics and things going on in the city, including Fisk, the Green Masked Man, and even the new Spider Vigilante. So with Peter saying how can he help, Jameson asks him if there has been any chatter at the Daily Bugle about a guy wearing a green suit and waging a little personal war on Fisk. And Peter's like, pretty much yeah, this guy's already blown up a bunch of stuff, and they've even gone on to call him by his iconic name, the Green Goblin. And anytime they even try to report a story about him, they get shut down, which Peter then explains, so instead they keep publishing the stories about the masked vigilante in the black suit. Which, I get it, he's extremely photogenic, and to me he seems like a much more compelling, and dare I say charming character? A real man of the people, obviously trying to gas himself up, as Peter is the masked vigilante, but instead he's coming off looking like an idiot to Uncle Ben and Jameson. But as they move past that, they decide to look and talk deeper into what's going on, saying this green fella has hit certain locations, and all said locations are owned by Wilson Fisk. So that pretty much explains why the Bugle is trying to cover it up. Wilson Fisk does own the Bugle, but it might not be all black and white or a good guy and bad guy situation. It could be a bad guy and bad guy situation. And with everything being so confusing, clouded in mystery, Peter then decides to put his amazing gifts to work, going on a stakeout, his first official mission in his iconic Spider-Man suit. But he then soon finds out that stakeouts aren't all what they're cracked up to be and are pretty boring for the most part, as we see a little time lapse of hours passing by with him just chilling out trying to stay on the mission, but even getting a box of donuts instead, until more time passes and he is finally at his breaking point, fed up and about to leave. But as soon as he gets up to leave, of course, just then something happens. We see a goblin bomb being thrown and explode, with this now Green Goblin flying around on his jet, fighting another black masked individual, who is actually Bullseye, which I gotta say, this Bullseye redesign definitely looks more assassin-like and menacing. But we also find out that this new Green Goblin isn't experienced or as cunning as the 616 Green Goblin Norman Osborn may be, because as Bullseye points out, he didn't even realize, but he has stepped into a trap right in front of him, as Bullseye throws one of his playing cards, hitting one of the Green Goblin's bombs and blowing it up. And as their fight then continues on the ground. Green Goblin tries to ask who even is he, and then Bullseye responds in a pretty dope and menacing line saying he is a killer loose in the world, an actual predator in the wild. And again, while Green Goblin trying to retort saying, "That's funny, seems to me like you're more of a pet on a leash, doing Fisk bidding while the owner's safe." But just then, Bullseye decides to spill some actual secrets, saying, "Do you really think I work for Fisk? Wilson, Fisk is a prop, a puppet, like you and everyone else. No, I work for the real masters of the world, the real power. I am paid by the invisible hand to strike down those who forget their station, and I am very good at it." Implying that there's an entirely new pecking order even above the likes of Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin. And as Bullseye finally has Green Goblin pinned down, getting ready to deliver the final strike, suddenly his hand gets webbed by Spider-Man, who finally comes into the battle to save the Green Goblin in an ironic twist of fate. And Bullseye, not backing down from this challenge, says, "Well, I guess it's my lucky day because I get to eliminate two problems at once," before throwing his metallic playing cards at Spider-Man, seemingly missing, which is a bad trait for someone named Bullseye. But it turns out he wasn't even aiming for Spider-Man, but the thing behind him, a crane. As Spider-Man turns around, watching as the entire thing collapse on top of him. And as Bullseye looks on, distracted, Green Goblin decides to take advantage of this, blasting him in the back. But it seems that this Green Goblin literally sucks, as even with all of his high-tech upgrades and suit, even then he is not a match for this Bullseye, as Bullseye turns around throwing more cards, taking him out once again. And as the Green Goblin is on the floor defeated once more, he says, "You know, it's a real shame. A so-called predator like you not even realizing it's a trap even though you walked right into it." Before we suddenly turn around and see Spider-Man jumping up, punching Bullseye, instantly knocking him out. Something that the Green Goblin couldn't even do throughout their whole entire battle. And after he is finally down, Spider-Man then says, "So should we call the police or something? I don't really know what to do next. I haven't actually called anyone, as the only villain he did fight before, being the Shocker, kind of kicked his butt and he's still out there." Though Green Goblin uses his tech to secure and ship off Bullseye to some undisclosed location. And as he flies off, Green Goblin then turns to Peter saying, "So that's an interesting suit you have there. I bet some people think it's very cool." And with Peter saying, "Yeah, that's because it is cool," the Green Goblin then does something very interesting. He says, "Be that as it may, instead of cool, others might call it something else, property," as he then presses a button on his suit, pairing itself with Peter's suit. And as he does, the suit starts to deactivate and disintegrate, revealing Peter's identity underneath to his utter dismay. And as he is finally fully unmasked, in a shocking turn, the Green Goblin then decides to do the same, revealing himself as Harry Osborn, which in this universe, they don't know each other, as their lives from the beginning took two completely different turns. With Harry Osborn being the first one to speak up, saying, "Well, Peter, I don't know if you noticed or not, but the world is a very strange and dangerous place these days," almost coming off as threatening, as they engage in a little bit of a standoff in the midst of all of the rubble and chaos. But Harry then decides to break the atmosphere, saying, "Do you want to get a drink and maybe talk about it?" And with Peter even saying sure, maybe signaling a new turn in this universe, with the Spider-Man and Green Goblin being friends and allies instead of iconic enemies. But of course, that signals the end of the issue. So what do you guys think? I think this is definitely an interesting twist on Harry Osborn being a goblin and his identity being revealed, which again is funny because no matter what Peter can do, he can't stop leaking his identity to people. Also, I wonder how they're going to use their villains in the future. Maybe we'll even see a Ultimates Universe version of the Sinister Six here, as we slowly start to introduce and build up more enemies. So far, we have the Shocker and Bullseye. But yeah, those are just my 2 thoughts on it. What are yours? Leave them down in the comments. As always, if you enjoyed, leave a like or even subscribe, and thank you for watching.